Halloween. Really, little sleep was had and I feel completely drained come morning. Even when Hannah rises from bed in spite of a mild fever and invites me down to breakfast, I can't be bothered to drag myself out of the comfort of the sheets. It's not like I need to do something particularly important today. The rain that has started sometime during the night doesn't help the mood. Okay, maybe it helps just a little. The strange sunny weather has been nice and all, but for it to return as it should be feels like a good sign of things to come. Perhaps things will settle back to normal and the crazy drama that has gone on lately will die down. The rhythmic pitter-patter of the rain fills the early morning silence with a steady beat. Thank goodness I don't have anywhere to be in a hurry today. I would hate to be caught unawares in this rain. With how it looks outside, it seems that the weather is making up for all the sunny days it has given us with a good old-fashioned downpour. It does let up within a quarter of an hour. However, a day beginning with a cloudburst like this, locals usually take it as an immediate sign. Luxborn's abysmal weather is back, likely for good. I hope they did a damn good job of fixing this place, because I'd rather not have to deal with leaky roofs. Though Hannah might find humor in it and perhaps ask me to sing in the rain to wear out my anger, I don't like the idea that the realty did a horrid patch job with this place. Hannah, technically, paid millions for this place. It better live up to the price the realty company sold it for. Not that it's something she should be fretting about at the moment, when her health's not at its best. Hannah is going to be brought to the hospital for a checkup today, and if anything, I prefer that she focus on getting better. That fever, no matter how slight it is, can't be good for unborn children after all. Perhaps the proper rest is all that she needs, but I'd rather not assume things. I'm a businessman, not a doctor. Wonder of wonders why I even bother agreeing to babysitting duty at that. But here I am, scheduled as today's babysitter for Suarez's brat, once her father drops her off at the mansion steps. Though that is a worry for much, much later. If I wish to, I can ask that nobody bother me while I doze off in the cocoon of comforters. But as always, someone has to be a buzzkill.
Are you really going to stay in bed all day?
What do you want? It's far too early to deal with your nosiness.
You must have been really rattled by what happened yesterday. If you need to talk about it, I am quite qualified in that regard.
And you aren't even the slightest bit bothered? Truly? Not even the slightest bit worried?
I was worried. But I realized that it's not my life in danger, is it? My worrying will not help matters. Neither will yours.
Loath as I am to admit it, he is right. The whole thing might have rattled me, but there is little point in jumping at every shadow I see from the corner of my eye. I shouldn't lose my head for a threat that might not even come. I should know better by now. But I've never been this worried about a possible threat in my life before. I'll be honest here. If anyone's in danger, it's Hannah. I can take care of myself just fine. With security tightened, I'll have at least one guard, if not 5, making sure nobody gets within 10 feet of me without my say-so. Hannah, on the other hand, is pregnant, and will be away for most of the day. It is a small relief that Johannes will be with her.
Are there any updates about the woman?
Being in the dark has me on edge. Information, any at all, may very well help me in calming down.
I've already briefed security about her, and more from the agency will be arriving tonight. But they haven't seen anyone fitting the description.
So you have nothing then? Fat lot of use you guys are. What do I even pay you for? Do me a favor. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on your way out.
Well, there is something. It's about McCulloch.
Can anyone blame me if I show the tiniest bit of interest? She's still not done with the house, and she's a nice enough woman. Plans to go back to sleep are gone.
I called her secretary about taking the day off. He hasn't heard from her over the weekend.
She's probably passed out after enjoying a pint or 2 or 10 in a bar somewhere. She's an adult. It was the weekend. She's allowed to disappear and not think about work. Fuck. I wish I was passed out after a night of drinking. He does know that mobiles are a thing.
That's all well and good, but she's not answering her mobile either. Mr. Parker will be filling a missing persons case with the police if she doesn't turn up today.
I don't know if that's a German thing or if he misread that word. Certainly, someone must know where she is. Tabs are kept without fail on people who come to work with me. Background checks and constant surveillance until they're finished their contracts with the rights. Some would say it's all a bit over the top. But I can't be too safe. Too many want me dead.
What about one of ours? Has anyone seen her? She's pretty hard to miss with how tall the woman is.
The last anyone has seen of her was here. the morning of the party. Your housewarming party.
That isn't good news.
It wouldn't do for the police to hear of this, and to suspect.
It's of little import that I can easily prove my innocence. It's all a matter of principle. Because even the accusation of misdemeanor should not stain my reputation. Although, maybe it is a bit too late to hope for a squeaky clean one. Besides, it'll be such a hassle to have police poking about the house looking for a body that doesn't exist.
Now, if we're done here, I'd like to go back to sleep and...
Well, there goes any plans of grabbing some shut-eye. Rolling over on my stomach, I can only scream into my pillow.
Of course, of course. Ugh. Johans, distract her.
Oh, look, it's time for me to go. Have fun with your little play date. So long, farewell, and auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.
No, Johans, don't you turn away from me. Keep her busy for an hour. Come on!
I have to press my face against the pillow once more to suppress a groan. You just can't get loyal help anymore.
Hello there, little Fraulein. Your uncle is just upstairs and will be down in a moment. He is super excited to have you today. I hope you're well rested and ready to play a lot.
That bastard. I'll be down in a sec, Munchkin. Let me just...
Changing to a fresh shirt, brush my teeth, fix my hair, bemoan my very existence. Wish I was anywhere else in the world right now. Don't get me wrong, Kylie is a great kid. Wonderful. Better than most brats her age. But handling a tyke is the last thing I want on my agenda right now with this whole Hannah business. Fortunately, I'm well versed in how the world works. I've long learned that the show must go on no matter what hurdles come in my way. So I set to preparing for the day. Running a comb through my hair is just divine and simply makes me feel more human. Bed hair is disgusting, though it isn't as bad now as it was when I was a child. With how expensive a trip to the barber's was, I often had to grow it out until Mother had time to cut it for me. The curls and tangles were simply horrid. Why, I was even mistaken as a little girl because of that. It certainly doesn't help that I was named Lucille. A freshly pressed shirt is enough to chase away the last signs of sleepiness. The feel of crisp and clean cloth in my hands is a clear marker to the start of the day. Smoothing down my suit and my hair with a sigh, I steel myself for the horrors. The horrors that come with taking care of a child.
Good morning to you, Luke.
Speak of the devil, and she shall appear. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, Kylie grins up at me as soon as I open the bedroom door. She swings the backpack she's clutching, hitting my leg in a show of impatience and looking entirely unapologetic for it.
Did you just wake up? Oh, tell me you forgot. It's our playdate today.
I doubt I'd forget. Kylie's visits are a frequent enough thing that they found a way into my schedule. There's supposed to be visits to her godmother. But we can't pick who a child gets along with. So long as I'm not busy, her father can drop her off for the day. Which is all well and good for me if it makes Suarez focus on work I've given him. Besides, she's a bright child, tolerable, kid's got a good head on her shoulders and can get pretty mature for her age at times. Of course, they have me to thank for that. Her parents can take partial credit, but Hannah and I have been there for this kid since she was just a small babe. I can still remember the first time I saw her. It was during her baptism. The only reason I was there was to accompany Hannah, who was to be named godmother. She was such a tiny thing, not even a year old, swaddled in her mother's arm in white cloth. It was the first time I really saw an infant up close. Close enough to hold one, at least. It had been terrifying to be given a little child to carry after the whole water ceremony. I've never done so before that. To hold a tiny life in my arms. I could have just dropped her on her head and this little tyke before me would have stopped existing then and there. But the child just smiled at me, babbling nonsensical words as children do, and clinging to me even as I tried to hand her off to Hannah. She had thought it hilarious and adorable. My suit had been a mess, and it was nearly an anxious wreck by the time I handed her back to her mother. Yet it was pleasant, too. To think I might be doing it again soon, with Hannah's children, with our children, kids of my own flesh and blood. In a few months' time, I'll be cradling them in my arms, hearing the ring of their laughters against my ears. It's a tender thing to think about. And despite myself, in spite of all the fears that will never be good enough for them, I'm I'm actually looking forward to it.
Of course I didn't, you little rugrat. I just had to take care of something before you arrived.
Really? Well, I guess that's fine. As long as you told me for work like last time.
Really? Now why don't we go back down and have breakfast in the parlor?
I already ate at home. Papa made one of his tortilla de patatas. He wouldn't let me leave until I finished every bite.
Ah, the Suarez's infamous tortilla de patatas. Those things are a hazard. You can probably use one to bludgeon someone into submission with how huge they are. It's a miracle Kylie can still be so energetic. I had trouble staying awake the first time I had one. Speaking of staying awake...
Well, I need some coffee in me at the very least. But if you'd like, you can jump straight to dessert.
Yes! Dessert, please!
It's easy enough to manage Kylie with the problems of sweets, thankfully. The hard part is managing her before she gets the sweets, because I nearly have a heart attack when the kid races down the stairs. Just the thought of her slipping and breaking her neck is enough to make me rush down after her.
Slow down, the food isn't going anywhere.
The food is going somewhere. In my tummy.
Jesus fucking Christ. Children.
With a shake of my head, I usher Kylie towards the parlor and order a maid to bring food for us. Whatever breakfast there is, along with a cup of coffee for me and an ice cream for Kylie. But I can't leave the kid alone for too long unless I want her to turn the other room into a slaughter ground. True to my expectations, I've only left Kylie alone for a few minutes, but she's already made herself comfortable. The stuff from her backpack has been left scattered across the room, from coloring books and crayons to toys. She's well equipped to amuse herself with no trouble, though I can certainly breathe a little easier if she won't bring her doll along every time she visits. Narcissa, or Sisa, is a creepy little bugger. It doesn't help when Kylie left her during one. Find the thing at the bottom of the stairs, staring up at me at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning is a memory that won't leave me anytime soon. Even now, it stares at me from where it's seated. I'm wholly tempted to just throw the thing into the fireplace and banish it from whence it came. I can buy her a prettier doll, a better toy. I'll break it, find a way to get rid of it, if it wasn't from Hannah, and if only Kylie wasn't so attached to it. The thing is some antique doll she found for the brat's 6th birthday, one of a kind. My darling Hannah loves her so. And Kylie does try to be a good goddaughter, but she just can't keep her interests along with the wife. It's not something that Hannah does wrong on her part. She does try so very, very hard. It's just that she doesn't quite know how to really handle children. She'd never been around other children when she was young, surrounded by protective adults who catered to her every whim and worried for her safety every minute. When she isn't able to keep up with Kylie, her first instinct is to be strict. Impose rules on the child, treat her as if she's made of spun glass, like every movement might break her. I, at least, have some idea from being around street kids. I know the games they played and how they think. I know that scraps and skin knees are all part of childhood. Even with how I grew up, I had time to be a child and not some sheltered heiress. With Kylie, as behaved as she can be with her toys and her books and arts, she has to use up all her energy somehow. To run around the playground, make a mess in the mud, or even just fake wrestle for a short while. Let her be a child when she wants, I'll say. If it becomes too much, just bribe her with some sweets or ship her back to her papa. Problem solved. Unfortunately, Hannah isn't quite up to those sorts of things most of the time, thinking it'll spoil the child. Turns the whole playdate awkward every time. Taking the last seat left, I pluck one of her coloring books from the table to see it filled with dinosaurs. Not exactly what I expect to see for a little girl, eh? It doesn't hurt anyone. If she wants to play with dolls and cars, or dolls with their cars, what do I care? She wants to put dolls' tutus on model cars, even.
Oh, this is a new one. The last one you had was filled with horses, wasn't it?
Those were ponies, Tio. They're much cuter than horses. But we went to a dinosaur zoo, and it was awesome! Dinosaurs are my favorite.
I have no idea what that is, but it must be something. I'm only familiar with the T-Rex myself.
Yeah, they found, fossils of its claws. They're really long. They think the whole theory might be a bazillion meters tall, even bigger than a T-Rex.
That might be that thing that they're putting in the Field Museum in Chicago right now. I'm not sure. So in case you're curious, you can try to Google that and see. And if you don't care about dinosaurs, then just move on.
Sisa says it'll be big enough to eat all my classmates.
She only laughs as I scrunch up my nose and grimace.
Takako says you're making a really funny face.
Taka who?
Takako, a friend I made.
I just stop and look around, expecting one of the help to be there. The child does have a way of befriending just about anyone, as long as she puts her mind to it. Yet the two of us are completely alone. Thankfully, she only finds my disturbed look as another funny grown-up expression. That might be a lot more problematic than whether she plays with dolls or cars, though. Both the thoughts of Cisa giving Kylie ideas, and one of said ideas being massacred by dinosaur. Something I probably need to bring up with her father aside from work. But beyond murderous dinosaurs, creepy dolls, and imaginary friends, I find no trouble with Kylie. She's as energetic and precocious as any tyke her age can be. She's an angel if she can get comfy and settled in after her sweets. We tuck into her waffles as soon as food is brought in. Our waffles because she wanted her own plate to go with the ice cream as soon as she saw mine. A fresh plate of berries is brought in as well, which goes really great with the rest of the feast, as Kylie puts it. And if I indulge in the sweetness, I have a cup of black coffee to pair it off with. With our bellies full, Kylie grows content with just scribbling on a scrap of paper and calmly chatting about her week. She talks of her older brother Rowan and their parents, how they plan to go to the Bloxland in Berkshire for the winter holidays. She mentions Miss Pink, Rebecca, which I listened to with half an ear. Our initial meeting had been a mess, but I can't quite find myself to listen to stories about her teacher wholeheartedly, the phantom sting in my hand still itching. She talks of the Sandman in the park, and of her new friend who likes to play hide-and-seek when she's not sniffing in the loo. When, finally, she finds nothing new to talk about, she goes back to her drawings. That'll change as soon as her stomach settles, of course. The calm before the storm. Because, behaved as she is right now, I can feel the curiosity just radiating off her. There's a restlessness buzzing under her skin and a question on the tip of her tongue, as they often are with children her age. But for now, I can take this piece with no complaint for however long it stays. I have fun with the crayons as well, at the child's insistence, even if I can't really draw. With Kylie using the black crayon, that leaves me with the blue one. I absentmindedly start to draw a puppy to the best of my abilities. It's as I attempt to give the doodle dogs another eye that Kylie breaks her silence.
Tio? Where did Tia go? I saw them leave when I got here. Tia didn't look so good.
I've been expecting a lot of different questions. The kid always has a whole bunch of them ready for me, but I can only sigh when she posed this particular one.
She's just going to the doctor's for a checkup.
And as kids go, there are follow-up questions.
And you didn't go with her?
Well, you were going to be here, sweetie, so I had to stay behind.
So she's all alone? At the hospital?
Oh, no, of course not. Tia has Johans and her maid and a guard. She's got plenty of company.
Yeah, but you're not with her.
If I know better, I'd say the kid is trying to make me feel guilty. I want to say that the little tyke is evil for making me feel so.
But I understand. When I get sick, Papa and Mama have to leave me with their maids, too.
Oh, they don't take care of you?
That
doesn't sound right. Even my mom took care of me when I was sick as a child.
Well, they're always busy with work.
Oh, I see. I guess that's no good.
I know she doesn't mean to accuse me of anything. But as her father's boss, maybe I do overwork Suarez a bit. There's a lot of responsibilities that only he is capable of carrying out. Delegation is a thing, sure, but when said responsibilities are legally questionable at best, putting others to the task isn't always an option. But
maybe your papa is in need of some vacation time. He deserves it, doesn't he? He's a hard worker. I could arrange something for the holidays.
I could cut him some slack. Some of his assignments can wait. I can't do much for her mom. She isn't one of my employees, but this would have to suffice. It will be worth it if it makes the little girl happy, because just like that, the somber look on her face turns into one of pure joy. It's like looking at a little sun, warm and bright. It's nice to do something kind every now and then.
Would you really, Tio?
Would you like that?
I'd like that very much, yeah. We can go to this museum. There's one with lots of cool trains and planes. I like trains. And there's the local manor theme park and a monkey forest. There's a kid adventure farm too, the wacky warehouse, and a play barn as well. And
Whoa, slow down there, Munchkin. I know you're excited, but I think you should let me schedule your dad's day off before you plan a whole year's worth of stuff.
There's an embarrassed giggle, but she does reel herself in enough to calm down, which is a feat in and of itself. It's obvious how giddy she is. And if she wasn't looking forward to the holidays before like any child should, she does now.
I think Tia would be really happy if you were with her. You could have told me you needed to go to the hospital with her, Teal. I won't be angry.
I'd love to be with her, but I wanted to spend time with you, Munchkin. And she told me to stay. Besides, I don't like hospitals. They always smell like alcohol. And not the good kind either.
I don't think anybody likes hospitals. They're scary. But you said Tia is brave and strong.
That she is.
A content silence comes over us as we go back to scribbling. Though I stop when I'm done with my blue dog, cringing at how awful it looks. Kylie reprimands me for that because I should be like her. The little tyke goes through several sheets of paper, one drawing after another. Practicing, she says, because practice makes perfect. Not to mention there's a drawing contest coming up in class, and she just has to beat Tim from Class D, who says girls can't be superheroes. The clay gets a turn too, and we start sculpting food and pretending we're Michelin chefs. When we're too tired from tossing pizza and making cakes, there's no trouble in finding another activity more relaxing for the both of us. I find myself invested in reading The Picture of Dorian Gray once more. Often I lose myself in the pages of the book. However, it is rather difficult to do so, and I'm also trying to keep an eye and an ear out for Kylie. I'm reading the same paragraph over and over again, even. Inexplicably, I can feel my skin crawl when the girl sits with Narcissa by the parlor's fireplace, humming, singing. Though I ignore it long enough to only hear the tail end of the song.
Everything is up in flames, up in flames, up in flames. Everything is up in flames, my fair lady.
I don't think I can spend any more time with Kylie considering how high-strung I feel. So it's a good thing that Suarez came for her as soon as I've called. Though it is earlier than the agreed-upon time, he voices no complaint. The bastard even has a look of relief as soon as they left. Or at least I interpret it as such from where I've stood by one of the windows, not bothering to step out and greet the man. No doubt he still doesn't trust me around his spawn. While he has every right to be suspicious of me, I am a dangerous man after all. But to my chagrin, that leaves me with the rest of the day with nothing to do. Well, aside from picking up the mess Kylie left scattered about in the parlor. To my immense relief, she remembered to take her doll home with her this time. But the same cannot be said of the crayons and papers littered here and there. First things first, I snatch my own doodle off the table and rip it to shreds, leaving no hope that it will see the light of day. The rest of the drawings, all Kylie's, remain unharmed as I collect the lot. Though they have been stacked neatly on the table before, they must have been blown about when I saw Kylie off. And there are plenty of them. From cats and cakes to colorful rainbows and gardens, the child managed to make a lot during her morning here. There's one more that I have to fish out at the fireplace where it landed. Expecting to see another one of Kylie's masterpieces, I'm instead greeted with something a bit more concerning. There's me, there's Kylie, the two of us side by side smiling as our stick figure selves stand in a nondescript field. That much I can ascertain without looking at the labels below the doodle's feet. But a third figure stands next to me in the drawing. A woman with her face hidden behind a curtain of black. Takako, the writing under her name supplies.
Takako says you're making a really funny face.
Taka who?
Takako, a friend I made.
The hairs on the back of my neck stand on end, and I feel a chill go down my spine. A breath. That isn't mine. That has me turning around, expecting, hoping to see anyone. But nothing. And that's when I hear it. Laughter, sweet and merry laughter ringing from the ballroom. Thinking about it has my cheeks burning and my blood running hot. It's as if I'm being mocked. As I stomp towards the door, I have to stop myself from shouting up a storm. I expect to see some of the help dallying about, idle from their duties. Perhaps they thought they could slack off in their duties without the head butler around and with my preoccupation with Kylie. Well, they had another thing coming. But again, nothing. Nothing from what I can see with a cursory glance, at the very least. I roam around looking for near impossible hiding places, and still I am all alone. Yet I can still hear the laughter, that accursed laughter echoing about in the room, in my head.
Who's there? Show yourselves and show some respect to the master of the house!
Cold uneasiness settles into my stomach when no one answers. I stumble on my own 2 feet, feeling a wave of nausea come from nowhere. I have to put a hand against the wall to stay upright when the world shifts and pain explodes from behind my eyes. It takes every ounce of my self-control not to heave then and there. The only thing my pride allowed me to do was close my eyes and attempt to alleviate some of the pain. Vague, unfamiliar images, dare I say memories not mine, flash in my head, unbidden and unwelcome. Like a strong hammer struck at the head, threatening to crack my skull and split it in two. Whatever emotions they hold are muted. I'm nothing but a spectator. Still, its weight feels palpable. Though it doesn't take long for these sensations to get back into my head, through my eyes and my ears it creeps and buzzes in the spaces between. One after the other they come at me, an unending flood that threatens to sweep me away for what feels like an eternity. Each one a show of both joy and suffering for those who have called this mansion their home. Each new scene is like a hammer to the head, threatening to crack my skull and split it in two. I can feel every little emotion in the blurry images that present itself in my head. I feel a part of these, like I've lived through them, though I know that it's not possible. All their anger burns through me, that much is evident, but the pain more so. And above all of it are the whispers, the voices calling, luring until one image emerges in vivid contrast with the others. When there's a shout of joy, my eyes snap open looking for the culprit. That's when the whole room just changes. Everything is the same, yet everything isn't. There are people everywhere, laughing and dancing. I should be concerned about them, but my mind finds it easier to dismiss them as they fade in and out from nothingness. Instead, I find my concentration drawn to a man and a woman, though one can only call them a lord and a lady going by their clothes. And oh, just see how happy the couple looks. Though the man's eyes are eerily blank, like he's not all there, his face is familiar though. In fact, they both are, but I can't quite place why. The two make for a pretty picture as they dance in the center of the ballroom. Even the Phantom's crowd's attention stay on them. It reminds me so much of Hannah and I during the early days of our marriage. The honeymoon years, they call it. We were happy then too. All smiles and her sunshine, even with the normal dreary weather. Younger, we had less to worry about, or at least thought that way. I wished we could go on that way, even with all that I did and had to do. But life has a way of catching up. There was work to be done. Although we had to stay the loving, perfect couple in public, I could not afford to look so weak. To appear tied down to someone else, to those who knew who I really am, I had to harden my heart when I had business, but it hadn't always been so easy to just switch that part of me on and off. I should be concerned about their intrusion too. Ask what in bloody hell they were doing in my house, throwing a party as if they owned the place. Ask myself how the fuck I didn't notice what was going on before, when the parlor and the foyer are both only a few doors away. But I have a feeling that yelling and screaming at them won't do much of anything anyway. None of the others have given me notice. I realize that this might not even be real. It dawns on me that these two people are from the paintings, the ones all over the mansion. Which makes sense. I don't think I'm imaginative enough to make this all up on my own. This must be a dream. Or a really horrible high. Just then I can feel eyes on me as I contemplate the absurdity of the situation, yet I find difficulty in trying to tear my eyes away from the two dancing. I manage, and I regret looking away. The woman from the garden stands beside me. I can hear her rattling breath, menacing and chilling. Everything in me screams to run, but something pins me to the spot as she just looks at me, watching and waiting. The clamor of their voices fill the ballroom. Although they say such welcoming words, I do not feel comforted by the madness I'm experiencing. Their joyous voices turn sinister and foreboding to my ears. The chorus of people that shouldn't exist, threaten to overwhelm me, drown me even as I stand on dry land. The music still plays as the Phantom Quartet continues while I stand here, vulnerable and afraid, but the dance has already ended. And I'm afraid that I might just be tonight's entertainment. Attention is all well and good until bullocks like this go down. These Phantom people watch me, thousands of eyes scrutinizing, though they cheer for my return to hold me to dance and join the merriment. There are eager hands all over, pulling me in every direction, but they do not move me enough to remove me from the woman's gaze.
Listen. Can you not hear them as they welcome you home? Your kind, our kind. You're one of us, my love. We are bonded by the blood we share.
If I thought the voices were overwhelming before, it is nothing compared to how they are now. Their voices are loud, speaking in unison and echoing ever on in the spaces of my head. They welcome me back, as if I've always belonged, as if I was meant to be here in the first place. They call me all these titles and names that do not belong to me, and that man's face, the one with the empty eyes, flashes again before me, once fleetingly, like a new memory having burned itself in my mind. I have to struggle for air when I come back to myself after.
I'm not. This isn't.
The welcomes turn into screams at my protest, pain and desperate pleas for my help, telling me that it is my duty to stay, telling me that I belong among them, to them. Gentle touches turn near threatening, the warning scratches and the baring of teeth by predators before they truly maim someone. My mouth goes dry as I struggle to speak some sense in this hallucinatory madness, but I don't get the chance as they drown out my voice.
Our Lord, my Prince.
At her words, there is a compulsion to stay. Though my heart races in my chest, the fear I should be experiencing refuses to register in my head. Mind and body war with each other, nearly tearing me in two. Oh, you finally returned to us. The compulsion to walk into her arms is strong. Whispers in my head tell me to go to her. They say that she is safety. She is home and heart. We've been waiting for so long. But repulsed at these thoughts, I wrench away and turn with a small gasp. Without hesitation, I start to make a run for it. I nearly falter when an angry shriek pierces the air, inhumane and monstrous. I don't dare look back. I just run. I didn't care if this is a drug-induced hallucination or not. Just run. Out of the ballroom. And out of the parlor. It's only then that I bothered to look back, hoping and praying to the god I scorn that it did not pursue me. I would have run all the way out of the mansion too, if only someone didn't get in my way. I climbed with a body much larger than mine and fell back to the ground, head spinning as I look up at the stained glass. Turn my head to the side replaces the colorful sign for the pair of shiny black shoes. Fatigue fills every inch of my being then, making me refuse to get up. Meanwhile, a familiar head of ginger hair looks down at me in bemusement.
You really must look where you're going if you insist on running about. Do tell, where is the fire?
Oh, thank God you're here.
I do hope you don't have a concussion. Can you count backwards from 15 to 1 for me?
Oh, fuck off, you wanker. Just help me up.
I do not think insulting me if you do have a concussion is a smart decision. But no, really. 15 to 1.
That woman, she was here. I told you to keep an eye out for her.
The other man offers an arm and pulls me up to my feet then. But before I can storm off and pull him to the ballroom, he anchors me down with one hand on my shoulder and the other touching the back of my head.
No bruising or bump. That still does not mean that you don't have a concussion. If you are too lazy to count backwards, can you tell me your full name? Where are you currently?
We don't have Lucille Mitchell Wright, and this is the Ermengarde bloody fucking foyer. But we don't have time for this.
You must make and have the time to make sure you are not broken in the head.
Years too late for that, buddy.
I have already sent security to scour the whole house when I saw you running out of the parlor, Dummkopf. If the woman is here, they will have her. You will only be slowing them down if you plan to interfere.
When he points that out, I realize that there are guards starting to filter into the house as we speak, with some already searching the nearby rooms. Armed and uniformed men go about in pairs, making it so that the house is in a flurry of activity. He lets go of me then, with the knowledge that I'm not going to keel over anytime soon.
I was hoping that you would be tired from dealing with the young miss on my return. Instead, you come running and hit your head. Such a troublesome boy. Shall I be carrying you to bed, too?
I can manage just fine on my own. Though I don't see how I can sleep until that woman is caught.
It'll be easier to keep you safe in your quarters. This is twice we've known the woman to break in. I think we can safely presume that you hold her interest.
He says it as a matter of fact in a tone that brook no argument. Not like I'll argue if it means I'm kept safe. The two of us hurry upstairs, though we remain watchful and aware of any potential threats to my person. We make it to the master bedroom without any trouble, though, and two of the security are left outside of the door. No problems at all. Not until we get inside. Johannes' eyes scan the room wildly, a look of dread on his usually stoic face. And I don't understand for a moment, looking around the bedroom. It's empty. But then I realize...
Where's Hana? She came home with you from the hospital, didn't she?
She's supposed to be here. I sent one of the maids to accompany her here, to let her rest.
I feel the color drain from my face when he raises a hand to stop me from charging out there.
Stay.
I'm not staying in here while Hana stays out there.
One of the guards will find her and bring her here.
And what if they don't? What if that woman gets to her first? What if she already has her?
That's not possible.
You can't promise that.
There's no second thought as I reach under my side of the bed and pull out one of my knives. I have no doubt that the other man can take me on if we're both unarmed. But with this, I can even the field, or at least deter him from escalating the situation and risking hurting either of us.
I'm going out there to look for Hana. And you're either with me or you aren't. I'm not risking Hana, and I'm not leaving her alone.
Still, like a stubborn mule, he refuses to budge from the door. There's a withering look on him that I try to match. One that somehow I am losing fast to, even with him not saying a word yet.
Can you see yourself in the mirror right now? You are in no proper state to go looking for anyone. If it will make you happy, I will do the looking. But please, and don't make me repeat this, stay where it's safe, where security can find you. We already have one person to be worried about. Please don't add another one to it.
Perhaps it is his tone. In spite of his general disdain for virtually everything that has to do with me, I'd like to think that over the years he has grown to care for Hannah at least. Much as I loathe to admit this, I'd trust him with her safety over any servant in this house. So in acquiesce.
You have 2 hours, Shirokin. I don't think it'll take that long to find one missing woman in this house. 2 hours. Any more than that, and I'm going out there.
Of course.
Despite his words, he lingers. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he wants to make sure I get in that damn bed and sleep before he turns away from me. What am I, a child? Watching me and treating me like one. There's the reason why we will never get along.
Well, what are you waiting for?
And the knife?
The knife stays.
Very well.
Only then does he seem to get the hint. With a nod, he leaves, locks and closes the door behind him. For a moment, I still hear his voice while he gives the guards outside firm instructions. Then a hush as soon as he departs, and his footsteps fade away. One that doesn't quite last. As quickly as the silence settles, lightning flashes across the sky, followed immediately by the loud boom of thunder. And that Wenger strikes so dangerously close that I can feel the electricity in the air. The power goes out not a second later, and I feel as if I'm being mocked by whatever greater power there is. All is deathly still for a moment, but soon the rain starts once again. Far heavier than the light drizzle from this morning, its pitter-patter hitting hard against this place's roof. Despite the noise, I find myself drawn to my bed, exhausted, hoping for a little nap. I'm safe here. Hannah will be safe too. Shrocken will find her, and when I wake, she'll be here. It does not take long. Once my head hits the pillow, in a matter of minutes, darkness claims me, bringing with it laughters and whispers of a twisted love from a time long gone.
Who are you? Stay away!
Sweet dreams, my love. It'll be over soon. Yet, in spite of the unfamiliar voices and unwanted touches from shadows lurking in the dark, rousing is a slow, arduous process. Difficult, every limb heavy with lead. No matter my aversion for the words they murmur in my ears or the sight of their horrid smile from afar, my body refuses to yield. I am at their mercy. Beyond fathomable reason, my consciousness refuses the pull of the waking world, choosing to linger in the pits of a dream, gradually drawing me deeper into unknown depths. Somehow, even if it might mean I may never open my eyes, I allow them.
You do not belong there, my prince.
Not that I might get a few extra hours, of course. The bed's more than comfortable as it is, after an exhausting day yesterday. Babysitting Kylie and the stress of finding an intruder in my own home. I think I deserve a little break every once in a while, especially after going through all that in a single day. I can only be on the receiving end of so many unacceptable things within the span of a few hours, you know. As gracious a host in person I am, my patience has its limits too. Although there's still that problem with Hannah. I haven't forgotten that, of course, but that's why I hired Shrocken. He's competent enough. He won't even last a day in my service if he's any lesser than those half-wits, who think they can deceive me in sweet words. He's more than capable of working on his own without guidance. Let the butler take care of that little problem with Hannah while Hannah...
You do not need her. I am here. We are here. This is where your home is.
Where you belong for the blood we share. Come back to us. How long has it been since? Johannes has never taken this long before.
Surely there should have been an update by now. Right?
So why isn't there?
Please. Please don't go.
Bloody hell, the cretins I've surrounded myself with.
And isn't that enough reason to force myself out of bed? As it has always been the case. My eyes fly open, expecting the warm rays of sunshine filtering through the curtains. Only to be greeted by a blinding flash of light and a loud boom of thunder that sounded nearly too close to my ears. Strong gusts of wind will occasionally burst in from the open balcony door, bringing in drizzles of cold rain into the room. I must have left it open earlier before dozing off. The carpet and the floor closest to it is already drenched. Hannah's going to be so cross when she sees this. Not that it's an immediate problem. If anything, it's this power outage we should be minding first. With the intruder still at large, steering through this darkness might be more fatal than multiple stab wounds or a gunshot to the chest.
Oh, great. The power's still out. That is exactly what I need right now. Yes.
It's this storm, of course. I should have moved back to the penthouse to weather it in a much more comfortable setting. Already, I can hear the creaking groans of this old place as rain beats against the windows.
Johans! Has someone been sent to take the circuit breaker yet?
No answer.
Johans?
Silence.
Stroking! Someone! Anyone?
Still nothing, and my cordial mood is quickly dissipating.
Where are those idiots when you need them?
It's really a wonder why he hasn't fixed this yet. Was I really out that long? Can't be. It has only been a few hours after midnight, if the time of my wristwatch is anything to go by. Unless I forgot to change it again after that last overseas trip a month ago. Though the delay is understandable if you went looking for Hannah as promised. But bloody hell, my safety is also at stake here. Cursing, I stay still, letting my eyes try and adjust to the darkness while my hands fumble for my slippers. If that butler isn't going to fix this, I may as well order the security post outside to do it. It's probably just a blown fuse. Anyone with a brain can repair one. Grabbing my jacket and footwear firmly on, I head make for the door. Although in haste, I pause briefly when a gleam catches my eye. On one of my drawers. Underneath the clutter I've yet to organize, the muzzle of a gun pokes out. Hannah has never openly commented on my possession of it, but I know she does not approve of it, knowing the bloody firearms policy in this nation. Of course, I've not found much use for it in the 7 years we've been together, otherwise she would have already thrown it out years ago. Doesn't mean it won't be useful right now. Without second thought, I seize it, setting the stuff piled above it onto the floor. Whatever. I'll get to it later. This blackout problem should be resolved first. Right next to my missing security details, it turns out.
Where the fuck did everyone go?
There were two, weren't there? Shrokin had two blokes posted outside to stand guard for the night. I might be panicking for a bit earlier, but I'm quite sure I haven't gone delusional yet. What, did both of them decide to take a break? Because they think the master's already sound asleep and won't be looking for them.
Damn nitwits.
I know assassinations happen very rarely these days, and even less in a peaceful city like Luxmorn, but bollocks. There's been a woman going in and out of this place uninvited, who may or may not want to put a knife in my back. Isn't that enough reason to stand alert? I'm fairly certain Shrokin won't just enlist their help just for this power outage, only leave me unprotected. We have a difficult friendship, so to speak, but I doubt that man is an opportunist. I'm holding the lives of his family in my hands, after all. He knows what I'm capable of doing. He's not stupid enough to do anything that'll endanger them and save only himself. So where then? Only my footsteps echo along a dark passage, and I am left gripping the handle of my pistol for some sort of comfort. Without proper lighting, and with the storm still raging outside, the stories I've heard about this place seem to have some truth to it. Some. If I'm reaching and wish to entertain myself a bit, I'll say there might also be ghosts whispering in my ears, calling. Of course, it's just the wind and the trees rustling outside. Nothing good will come of allowing these thoughts to linger when problems are piling up in front of me one after another. Especially with what greets me once I get to the foyer. Though it's dark, the large windows illuminate the area much more easily than any of the other rooms. And from where I stand at the top of the stairs, I can easily make out their forms, recognize them even. It's all gone crazy when these intruders come into my house. I'm no stranger to a cop playing dirty. Smart ones know that neither life nor criminals are going to play fair. And if one of this wog's sort is in on this, I'm not surprised too. But Lily, the estate agent? She doesn't seem the sort. And Daisy too? What will Kylie think of her Miss Pink if the poor tyke finds out about this? Not to mention Mint. Hannah trusted her. I trust her to be a professional at the very least, for fuck's sake. To top it all off, they all have the nerve to look surprised when I announce my presence.
Well, well, what have we here? If I were any less sober, I'd say this is the beginning of a joke.
Bloody trespassers. What is wrong with these people? Did they really think I'll be fine with them walking into my home like this? What are they even doing in here? If I knew any better, they might also be behind Hannah's disappearance.
That's right, my love.
They must have a motive.
Make them pay
And it better be a good one.
for all the wrong they've to us.
Or a bullet to the head is the least all of them will deserve.
Let's see. A photographer, a high school teacher, a real estate agent, an interior designer walk into a mansion.
Thunder crackles once again, cutting me off. This time, its sound hits close enough that it nearly feels as if the windows and the ground itself are rumbling. All is deathly still for a moment. I don't let it stop me, however, as I slowly make my way towards them, taking one careful step at a time, relishing the expression of fear in their eyes. I suppose there's something ominous in this setting, with the heavy rain outside and the lack of light here. I kinda like it, to be honest. Adds something to the atmosphere. I suppose I must look like the villain now. But short of me getting close to them, a noise to my left distracts me, briefly halting my movements while curiosity takes over every murmur in my head. And it's a good thing perhaps that I did, because as soon as I look up, I see him. Another trespasser. Great. Just as he's about to jump down from furniture that somehow ended piled up and blocking the door to the parlor. What happened there? And did he really think it's alright to do that in other people's house? Okay. Lout.
Teach him, my lord. Put him in his place.
My hand's already moving before any rationale can stop me, fingers firm at my gun when I finally release the safety from it and take aim. Not at him, but at his friends. They are his, aren't they? Why else would they be here together? Doesn't matter. He won't let the people he cares about be harmed. My finger on the trigger is more than itching to shoot, but I hold back. Sure, I could have simply taken aim at him. But more than seeing him bleed, I want to see the expression on his face once he realizes everything he's doing is futile. He's trapped. Lives are in my hand. His life's in my hand.
Had I known there would be a party in my own home tonight, I would have opened a bloody bottle or two. People these days, in my own home. Can you believe it? I feel so left out.
I can tell the exact moment the realization dawns on him. Short second of his body freezing and blood draining from his face, as soon as his feet hits the floor and he looks up. He's already a prey trapped by his own recklessness.
How pathetic.
And really, Daisy, even you, what would Kylie say?
Luke, this isn't what you're thinking. You have to listen to us. There's something going on here.
Well, obviously, why else would people be trespassing in my home? What about little Lily over there, then? What's your excuse? Checking back if your clients are doing okay? Is that it? Is this what this is?
We're doing good, by the way.
Sir, please.
Oh, please, what?
Becca's right, sir. We need to get out of this place. You need to leave.
Tut-tut, not a good enough excuse, darling. You people are the ones who need to get out of my sight. Don't worry, I might consider pressing lighter charges for the woman. Can't say the same for the rest of you. But really now, I swear the people of this city need to be taught the meaning of privacy. This is how you want to start the week. Why don't we just go with a bloody massacre if we want to surprise people in their homes, huh?
It's just a passing remark, of course. I'm not stupid enough to do something that'll bring negative attention to myself. Reputation, all that. Can't just risk it. The thought of having dead bodies here, ones I'm not even responsible for. They're the ones who trespassed. It's already quite too much. It'll literally be overkill, especially for someone like me. Nevertheless, joke or not, Feathers wastes no time drawing his own gun at the slight wave of my own. Even if he knows it's already too late. Still, he glares at me. Still, he fights back.
Now, Feathers. Manners. You're in no position to be pointing that gun at people.
There's no desperation in him like I'm hoping, just an annoyance flickering shortly before being hidden underneath a challenge. The likes of him are the kind of people I hate the most. Even with their failures already glaring down at them, mocking every worthless move they make, they have the impudence to stare people in the eye.
Why don't you put yours down first, and then we'll talk about manners.
Oh, he talks back. The gall! You know, your kind pisses me off so much.
Annoying most of the time, like a damn pest you can't be rid of. But to some degree it is commendable. I'll give him that. After all, we're almost the same in that regard. Almost. I'm still the better person, of course. He tells me to put the gun down, but I see no reason why I should. I'm a homeowner in defense of my own home. I have the right to it, like to think. Questionable permit of firearms aside. It's not like I wanted this. But I'm already high-strung and their presence does not help. Bloody peasants. I can never seem to figure out how their minds fully work. Take this one, for example. Despite the pride brimming in him, how he matches my glare with one of his own, he simply lowers his pistol after a long second, not in surrender. The tense in his shoulders tells me as much, but the closest he can get to lowering his own ego in favor of something I can't quite place. Interesting. Gotta admit, I'm almost disappointed.
As you should be, my lord.
I've expected him to hold on till one of us shoots the other. Can't say it'll be more exciting this way. A bullet inside any part of my body isn't something I'd like to have on a bad day like today. Or any day for that matter. But it'll surely be predictable of him. And I like predictable. They're the kinds of people who are the easiest to deal with no matter the situation. With them, there's no second guessing what they'll do. He shoots, I shoot, one of us dies, the other walks away. Nothing complicated. Nothing requiring much brain power, just muscle memory and who's the better shooter. End of story. Yet here he is, dragging a deep breath in and setting aside the only thing protecting him. I can easily shoot him this way, be done with this whole farce of a conversation. Instead, I find myself listening. A concession for a person who in another life would have also become the person I am today, had his circumstances allowed it. Damn shame. We might have gotten along,
Listen, right. I need you to...
but alas.
You broke into my house, and somehow, you expect me to listen like a good little boy. Are you a bit touched in the head, Feathers? I'm not the one breaking laws here.
Look here, fucker. If I wanted you dead, I could have done it so many times already. In fact, I can easily shoot you down right here, right now. And you won't be able to do a damn thing, even with that gun.
A meeting of two prideful blokes will never go well, whichever lifetime it is. And I can only laugh at his audacity, his lack of shame, and fear, even facing the business end of my pistol.
You know what I'm thinking right now? In another lifetime, we would have probably gotten along well.
The best truth I can offer him, not many people, those who've slighted me in particular, lived this long to see it.
And he should be grateful. You're already gracious enough, allowing him to stay. lessons like this.
Yes, especially when he has a lot to answer. Preferably right now, because as generous as I've been so far, my patience has its limits. My amusement can only last for so long. In 2 steps, I'm staying in front of them, grabbing him by the collar and resting the cold muzzle of the eagle against his temple. Ashton,
Luke, no!
Hey, now you two, I'm sure we can all talk about this first.
he'll end up a pretty smear on the wall if this close.
Teach this loud a lesson.
What is it that you people really want with me? This is the 2nd time this week, and I'm really getting weary of this little game. Did the NCA send you to apprehend me? Or has somebody paid you off to kill me? Which one is it, Feathers? Mind you, my arm's getting tired. Better answer quick if you don't want to beat the business end of this gun.
And he knows it. Of course he does. Hitman or not, he has been trained, judging purely from his stance. But not many bother to be as cautious as him. One glance at my handgun safety earlier is all it took for him to see I mean business. Similar. Too similar. We're too alike in so many little ways, it's funny. Down to fact that he doesn't even flinch, no matter how heavy the threats my words are. Even knowing how one flick of my finger on the trigger will be enough to end his sorry life. He should have caved in by now, started begging like so many others before him. Instead, he throws more vitriol, adding more kindling to a fire that already burning.
I'm not with NCA. I'm just here to help. There's something else in this house, and we're all in danger. You have to believe me, right? You need to let us go. You need to get out of here before it's too late. If you want to keep your sorry ass alive, you'll listen to people with more brain cells than you.
Igniting it further that I can't help but return it to him with equal fervor. We don't need him, my love.
Why, you insolent!
We both decide to move in that moment, both our bodies tensing, each of us racing to get ahead of the other. However, before we can even get a head start, a voice unexpectedly rings above the chaos about to ensue.
Luke, help me. Please.